Hello. Please excuse me. I'm investigating the murder that has just happened.
Oh, yes. Well, that is good. What would you like to know?
Where were you at the moment when Sir Bromsby was killed?
I was near the stage, and I saw him falling. Oh, my goodness. It was terrifying. I ran for the door, but despite all my efforts, it was blocked.
Well, I won't disturb you anymore.
Yes, no, fine. Thanks. Yes, what?
But your costume is torn. How did this happen?
When I was trying to open the door, the crowd dragged me away. I then fell to the floor. I fortunately suffered no harm, but when I arose, my beautiful costume was ripped and stained.
Well, I won't disturb you anymore.
Yes, no, fine. Thanks.
Excuse me, may I speak with you?
Yeah, your servant, sir.
Are you one of the domestics employed by the hall?
No, I am the personal servant to old Satterthwaite. He is there, sitting on that bench. He seems right enough, but he refused a small drink for his health. Surely he cannot be well.
Tell me, what have you seen?
I heard the shot, then such a strange noise, and the next thing I know, all those money bags are running in a mad rush with their wives or whatever.
Thank you for your help.
My pleasure.
And you, what are you doing here?
I'm waiting for Miss Roundtree, the niece of that banker chap. She is inconsolable, all because her admirer of a mere 3 days' acquaintance had already abandoned her. Nothing unusual about that. There is no worse-tempered female than this girl. Well, maybe other than my wife. Ah.
You heard the shot?
I just left to relieve myself there at the end of the garden, you see. Seems to me I missed a good race for the doors. Worthy of the Royal Derby.
Well, good.
Cheers.
Well, my good man, why are you here?
I am the manservant of Lieutenant Harrington. I accompanied him with the old general of the infantry or whatever. I seem to have drunk too much.
Did you hear the shot?
What shot? Oh, the shot. Great reception, isn't it?
I have to go. Are you all right?
Very good. Bye, madam.
Are you a relative of the victim?
No. In truth, I always mocked Sir Bromsby. I am upset because my friend did not arrive as promised.
As beautiful as she is cruel, apparently. Do you work here, miss?
Yes, my name is Sue. I am a maid for the hall.
Where were you when these tragic events took place?
I was serving when it happened. I ran straight for the door, just like the others. I swear his daughter must have done it. She's such a strange one.
Thank you, miss. We may talk with you again.
Oh, I hope so.
I have questioned everyone here. I'll go see if Holmes has finished on his end. Holmes, the gate!
I know, Watson, but it is of no real consequence. To question all these people would be a tiresome activity and would be of no value to this inquiry. Such ordinary inquiries are best left to the police. They have their purposes.
As you like, Holmes.
Now, Watson, to put your mind at rest, I can see that you have done well in my absence by placing the formidable coachman at the gate. I also imagine you have already spoken with Miss Lambert?
Yes, and some other people too.
Hold your report until our return to Baker Street. Meanwhile, be a good man and look to the gate. I must be informed the moment any official arrives. As always, I depend on your able assistance, Watson. I need something. I need something. It is a size 7.
Holmes!
Good day, Lestrade. Your haste deserves comment. One could say that you were right to hurry here, as this case is one of great complexity and challenge. Do not worry. I think that you will manage to get back to your mother before the dinner hour.
In the name of Devil, Holmes, you go too far. Do you spy on me now? How do you know I've been to my mother's?
Dear Lestrade, it is really quite simple. I must admit my mind has been stimulated by the main course, which would be this unique case. However, I sometimes enjoy a light snack of the details which surround it. Observe, we are in the middle of the countryside, and you have some fresh yellow pollen, but only on your right sleeve. This implies a recent gift of flowers. It is a gallant gesture, but surely a meeting with the fairer of our species would take place in London. Considering the promptness of your arrival, it must have been a bouquet of flowers you took to someone who lives in this area. I presume that you have family living nearby, and I would think only your mother would warrant such an attentive gesture. There is a fresh dab of fat at the corner of your mouth, as well as on the bit of handkerchief visible from your pocket. This is consistent with a recent meal of a big piece of steak. Who would make a policeman swallow such a substantial meal at this hour, and when a crime has been just committed? It could only be a mother thinking about the hard task awaiting her child.
Well, Holmes, when you explain it like that, it really seems quite simple. Good show. What about this Bromsby murder?
A unique case, as I've already noted, but any supposition would be premature until we consider Dr. Watson's report, as well as your own findings. Miss Lavinia has asked that the esteemed Dr. Watson and I give this case our full attention, though I doubt she is aware of all the implications of this case. Lestrade, you can find the victim inside, and I recommend calling upon his solicitor, Mr. Horace Fowlett. Mrs. Hudson is cooking a roast tomorrow at noon. Why don't you be our guest, and we can share our discoveries? What do you think? Watson and I must take our leave, as there's much to be done at Baker Street. Are you coming, Watson? Let us return to Baker Street. Everything is well noted. Watson, bravo. All of these elements will be a great help to us. As for myself, I have already told you everything that I know, and I can tell you nothing more until I receive answers to the messages I've sent with Wiggins. Now I must return to my experiments to test my theory regarding the substance I found at the scene of the murder. Meanwhile, I suggest you look through the books in the bookcase. Information that you find there might prove very useful in resolving this case.
I have to check 3 books on the shelves. Let's see. Here is information which could be really helpful in our investigation. These Chirapaki cigarettes come from Brazil, and they seem to contain narcotic substances. What might they be?
I need to analyze the evidence found at Sherringford Hall. A piece of white cloth, a small box, various powders, and finally the hair. Let's get to work. I need to analyze the evidence found at Sherringford Hall. A piece of white cloth, a small box, various powders, and finally the hair. Let's get to work. To analyze the nature of these stains, I must first soak the cloth in a solution of soap and water. To analyze the nature of these stains, I must first soak the cloth in a solution of soap and water. Now I shall place this cloth in the solvent. Now I shall place this cloth in the solvent. Now I shall place this cloth in the solvent. The stains are sticky, but not very oily. Let's examine it under the microscope. A very fine white cotton. What would be the reaction if I heated this powder? What would be the reaction if I heated this powder? Burnt gunpowder. Let's examine it under the microscope. A man's hair. Let me study this more closely. A box containing some white powder. Let's examine it under the microscope. Let's examine it under the microscope. Let's examine it under the microscope. These powders are similar. I can see it from the grains. What would be the reaction if I heated this powder? It has no effect. Let's mix some water with this powder. Let's mix some water with this powder. A glue or pasty substance, like starch. Let's examine it under the microscope. A light feminine perfume. It seems to me that we have gathered all of the key elements, Watson. However, before we retire, let's summarize our findings. The questions should be answered yes or no and justified by the evidence or testimony received during the investigation. We must have made an error, Watson. Let's check our answers. The questions should be answered yes or no and justified by the evidence or testimony received during the investigation. We must have made an error, Watson. Let's check our answers. The questions should be answered yes or no and justified by the evidence or testimony received during the investigation. It is simplicity itself, Watson. We have answered all the questions.